Hi everyone, welcome you all. In the today's video, we are going to see how we can perform mouse operations using Cypress. So normally we do mouse over, right click, double click, and then drag and drop, and then scrolling. So these are the normal operations which we can do using mouse. So now we'll see how we can do the same operations in Cypress. So first of all, let us start with the mouse over action. So mouse over means what? Just we can place the mouse cursor on that particular element so that some other options will be populated. So let me show you a simple example here. I will just opening one application. And if I just go to this page, and here, whenever I move my cursor on the desktop, now we can see there are some options are populated. And similarly, when I place my mouse cursor on the particular elements, some options are automatically populated. So this is basically called as a mouse over action. Okay, so let us see how we can do this mouse over action in Cypress. So let me just, I already created a few blocks. Let's say this is for mouse over, and this block is for right click, and this it block is for double click and drag and drop, and then scrolling page. Now let us see how we can do the mouse over action. So for that, I'm just going to launch my page. I say cy.visit, and the application, this is a URL of application. Now this will launch our web page. And once it is launched my web page, then we need to just directly go to the desktop. So we need to put the mouse over on this element. So how we can do this? You can just inspect this element and get the CSS for this, or you can directly right click and you can say selector hub. From it, you can also directly get the relative CSS selector and go back and get that element cy.get, and this is a CSS of that element. Or if you feel this is very lengthy CSS, what you can do is we can still use inspector from Cypress app. So Cypress app is also providing a kind of an inspector. Let me show you how we can use it. So here I'm trying to execute this only block, and this will launch my page. So for that, I'm going to save my file. Go to the file, save, and go to terminal. I'm launching my Cypress app, npx Cypress open. Okay, now we got this welcome window and selecting Chrome browser. And now this is my Cypress app. And this is my file which is created, mouse operations. And click on this. So once you click on it, it start running. And now you can see just we have done only one statement so far. It is open the application URL. So if you want to capture the locator from this page at the runtime, you can use this option. So here you can see this is the inspect option. You can just click on it, and whichever element you want to highlight on this element on this page, you can just highlight. Suppose I want to highlight desktop element, so I'm showing desktop. So now you can see including cy.get, the whole CSS will be automatically generated by this. And you can just click on this. This will copy to the clipboard and then directly go to your script, and where you can directly paste it. You don't need to write any statement, just I can paste it. Now cy.get, this is an element, and on this element I need to do the mouse over. So to perform these mouse or mouse operations, normally we use a method called trigger. So in Cypress, we have that method called trigger. So let me look at this documentation. I can say Cypress trigger, and this will be very useful. And by using this trigger, we can do different type of mouse operations. You can see here. You can just look at this. There are multiple operations we can do by using this trigger method, like mouse events especially. You can just look at here, drag and drop, and you can see position, coordinates, options. Okay, so you can just look at this. So this is a simple documentation they have provided, like mouse down, mouse up. And similarly, mouse over action also we can perform. Like you can see, this is a method. So this is the element dot trigger this one. So this will perform the mouse over action. So we need to just call this method by passing this parameter. So here they have provided how we can use trigger method, which are different type of parameters. Now go back on this particular element, we need to perform the mouse over. So what we can do is dot trigger, and here we need to pass one parameter called mouse over. You can simply, if you just put the semicolon or put the colon, automatically you will get that. So you can see here, mouse over. You can see all mouse actions you will get. You can select mouse over. Okay, so in the single quotation, if you start single quote, automatically these options will be displayed. So this particular thing will perform the mouse over. So once you mouse over on that particular element, now we need to perform the click action. So followed by, you can use click method like this. Okay, so now this will perform the mouse over action. So before, once your mouse over action is done, so what are the element we are expecting here is, so once you do the mouse over action, here you can see this is the element I want to check whether it is visible or not, Mac 1. Okay, so what I can do is I can also get the CSS for this element. Now I can just inspect the element, and you can also get the CSS from CSS selector hub from here. And this is a relative CSS selector. All right, so now I can just copy this and go back, and this is actually part of this, right? So now I can just go back it and get that element, cy dot get, and this is a CSS of that element, and dot on that element I want to put the assertion, so it should be visible. I say dot should, and here parameter is b dot visible. It should be visible. So this is a assertion, but before doing the mouse over action, it should not be visible. So I will also keep this assertion here. Before mouse over action, here it should not be visible. So you can say not dot b dot visible. Okay, so this is how we can mouse over action. So this particular statement will perform the mouse over action. So first launching the application, then go to desktop, and then click on the mouse over. We need to perform the mouse over action on that element, and then click, and then that element, sub element should be displayed. So this is how we can do the mouse over action by passing this method, by passing this parameter inside the trigger. Now let me just execute this once again. Go to the file and save, open the app. Now it is launching my application. Now we can just look at this. So my two assertions are got passed. The first assertion, it should not be displayed, it should not be visible. It is got passed. And my second assertion, it should be visible after mouse over. So it should also got passed. Okay, so this is how we can perform the mouse over action. So we can trigger the mouse event basically. So this method will be used to trigger the mouse event, and whichever event we specified in this single quotation, that event will be triggered by the Cypress. Okay, so this is mouse over action. Now let us see how we can perform the right click action. So this time I'm going to execute another it block. I'm removing this only. And next we will see right click action. So this time I'm just want to execute only right click method. So this block I want to execute. So before that, how we can perform the right click action, right click event. So here we can do in two different approaches are there. So one is by using trigger method, we can trigger the event, right click event. And the other one is we can also direct method is available called right click. So whichever element we want to perform the right click action, we can directly call the right click method, which is available, or we can trigger the right click event by using trigger method. That's another approach. Okay, now let me show you how we can perform the right click action on the element. And let me open another web page. So here you can just look at this. This is a element. And when you right click on this, if you are normal click, nothing is happen. When you do right click here, you will see some options here and the right click menu or context menu. So let us see how we can perform this. So I'm launching this application. Go back to your VS Code editor and cy.visit. And this is the application URL. And once you launch your application directly, I want to get this element. I want to get the element from the page, right click element. How to inspect this again? If you right click, you cannot inspect directly. So we can just say F12 function key. Now you can get the dev tools and directly go to selector hub. And from here, you can inspect this element like this. Okay, this is the element. All right, so this is the CSS locator for that element. Now I'm capturing this. Now let us get that element cy.get, and this is a CSS. And now I want to perform the right click action on this element. So to perform the right click action, again, we can trigger the event. For that, we can use this method called trigger. And what type of event we have to say for right click? We have to say something called context menu. Context menu. So this will perform the right click action. So once it is performed the right click action, we can validate something here. So once you right click on this, these are the options are displayed. Now I want to check, suppose some option, let's say copy is visible or not. So I can say inspect this copy element and get the CSS for that element. Or else you can capture this also from there at runtime. So let me try to execute this part. You can just say, go to the file and save, then it will automatically execute it. So now you can see it is perform the right click action, successfully perform the right click action. Now I want to check this particular element is visible or not after right clicking. Now I want to inspect this copy element. So you can take the help of this inspector and then highlight this copy. Now it is automatically generated the statement. We can just copy this, copy to clipboard and go back and then use it here. And this should be visible, right? So I can say dot should in the quotations, I can say b dot visible. So this is a validation. So this particular event trigger context menu. So this particular event will perform the right click action. And after that, we can do whatever validations you want. So this is a approach one, or we can say method one. Okay, in this approach, we trigger the event context menu. So that is basically right click event. Okay, let's try to run it one more time. Go to file and save. Now, perfect. So now it is perfectly right click on that element and now we got the expected assertion is got passed. So this is one approach. So by triggering the context menu or right click event, we can do that. Otherwise, we have another option called approach two. So we can directly call this method. So for example, let me just comment this. Okay, so approach two is we can directly get this element. So on this element, we have to perform the right click action. So get this element. And here we can directly call this right click method. So right click method is there. I can say dot right click. You can say right click. So this particular method will perform the right click action. So it's a direct action. After that, we can do the validation as usual. So I'm doing this validation. Okay. Now let me save and execute. Save. Go back to the app and now you can see same thing is got executed. Now this time it is performed the right click action and then my validation is got passed. So this is another approach. By using right click method also, we can do the right click action or we can trigger the context menu event that is performing the right click action on the element. All right, so this is how we can perform the right click action. So now we will perform double click action. How we can perform the double click action. Now this time I'm going to write another block. So go to double click block. So this block I'm going to implement now. Double click. How to perform the double click. So for that, I'm going to show you one more application to perform the double click action. So let me open this application. Okay, so now in this is my application. And if I look at this here, there is a field 1 and there is a field 2. When you double click on this copy text, so if I do normal click, nothing is happened. But when you do double click, the same text is copied in the second box. Okay, so now what is my requirement here is as soon as you launch my page, okay, I directly click on this element, double click, and then the same message is displayed on the second box or not, we need to validate. But before that, these elements are present inside the frame. So we need to first load the frame and then we will able to handle these elements. Okay, so first let us launch the page and then we will identify the frame. Once it is loaded, then we will try to interact with these elements. And here, this is the double click action. As soon as you do double click, the same text is copied into the second box. All right, so now go back to the VS Code editor. Now let us launch the application. So what is the URL of application? This is the URL of application. Copy this. Now go back. And here cy dot visit, and this is my. So in Cypress or JavaScript, we can use double quotations or single quotations case. Okay, both are allowed, and even semicolon is optional in the JavaScript. So semicolon you can keep or not keeping, no problem. Okay, so this is cy.visit, which will launch my application, and after that, before interacting with these elements, we need to first go to the frame. We have to load the frame. So let us try to inspect the frame. So if I just right click inspect, and now you can see this is a frame actually. So you can see ID iframe result, name is also available. So let me take this ID of the frame so that I can load that particular frame. So to load that particular frame, right, so we have a method called cy.frameLoaded. So in the last class, we have discussed about how to handle the frames. So there I have explained about the multiple ways I have explained, and one of the approaches by using plugin. iframe plugin we have already installed, right? So if you install that plugin, so we can access direct methods are available, and we can directly say cy.iframe. You can say cy.iframe is method you will get if you install that plugin, and directly you can specify the locator of this iframe, and you can use one method called loaded. Okay, so instead of iframe, we can just simply say cy.frameLoad first. Okay, once you frame loaded, and then we will able to interact with the elements inside the frame. So frame loaded, cy.frameLoaded, and this is the ID. So like I can say hash. So this particular command basically will load the frame. Load is nothing but it will basically switch the frame, whatever frame is available. And to use this command, we have to install one plugin. In the last class, we have seen which plugin we have to install in the frames concept. So for that, we need to also import the Cypress iframe. Then we will able to use those options. So at the beginning of the code, I will just import the Cypress iframe, the plugin which is already installed in the last session. So if you have not understood this, you can just go through my previous video where I have explained about frames and iframes. Okay. Now, so right, so I have launched this page, and then I have loaded this page, frame loaded, iframe result. And this particular statement is basically load the frame. And once it is loaded, then we can interact with the elements. So first of all, let's execute the code till here, whether it is successfully loaded or not. Let me save the code and then go back. Okay, now the double click frame loaded is not identified. So let's cross check why it is not identified. Okay, so what I can do is I can just execute only this one, double click dot only. Okay, as soon as you launch my page, I can say cy dot frame loaded. So this command is giving an error. Let me try correctly, because we already imported that frame also. This command import Cypress -frame. Okay, so I think the plugin is also installed. Okay, or else we will install one more time. Okay, so let me correctly write the statement cy dot loaded. Sorry, it is not cy dot loaded. This is cy dot frame loaded. cy dot, you can see this is the command cy dot frame loaded, and then this is our frame. Okay, let's try to execute one more time. Save it and go back and execute. Okay, perfect. So now this time the frame is successfully loaded, and my double click is it got passed here. So now let us continue with the elements, interact with the elements. So again here, to perform the double click, we can raise or trigger, we can trigger an event, which is double click event we can trigger by using trigger method, or we can also directly double click on the element by using DBL click. So there is a predefined method in Cypress, which is DBL click. So by using that method also, we can directly double click on the element, or else we can use trigger event. Okay, so the first approach, let us see the trigger event by using trigger event. So we already loaded the frame, right? So now the first approach one. And what is approach one is here, trigger using trigger method. Okay, so first of all, whenever you want to interact with the elements, right? So whenever you interact with the elements within the frame, first we need to go to the frame, and from there we can access the element. From there we can access the element. So now I want to perform the double click action in the copyright. So by default, you don't have any text in the field number 2. It is empty. Now, once you perform the double click, then the same text is copied into the second field. Now I want to perform the double click on this copy text. So let me identify this copy text element. So go to selector hub again. So this is a relative CSS which is given, right? So this is the element which is given. Now I want to locate this element which is inside the frame. So basically, which is inside the frame. So first we need to go to the frame, cy.frame, cy.iframe. And inside this, what is a locator of iframe? So we already specified here. So this is a locator of iframe. So inside this iframe, we have an element. Inside this iframe, we have an element, right? So then we need to just say dot. You can directly use find method because the element is inside the frame. You can say frame. Okay, so I say dot find, and here you can directly specify the locator of the element. So this is a locator of the element. So inside this frame, we have this element, and here single quotation inside the single quotation not allowed. So we put the double quotations here. Right. So now we already loaded the frame. Now we switch to the frame, and then inside the frame, we are finding the element where we want to perform the double click action. So to raise the double click event, dot trigger, and here we can just pass one parameter dbl click. dbl click. So this particular event will be triggered by the event trigger method. So this will perform the double click action. Okay, so once you perform the double click action, we can do some validation. So what is that validation? In the same frame, in the second field number 2, the same text should copied in the second field, right? The second field is having same text or not. We want to validate. So again, inspect the second field element, and this is the locator. Field 2 is a locator. Get this element, and this is also a part of the frame. So how we can access this? cy.iframe, and the same thing, same frame. I'm capturing the same frame, and dot find element, find, and here this is the locator of the element. So find, and this is a locator. Now, so in the field 2, we are expecting what text we are expecting, right? So in the field 2, we are expecting the text after double click is performed. So how we can validate the text in the input field? Okay, so here we need to use something called have text. So we can use, we have multiple methods to validate the text actually. Contains, and should have text, and should have value. The multiple things are there. Okay, so here we use something called should have value. So this parameter we have to use have value, and what is the value we are expecting? We have to specify here. So this is the exact value which we are expecting. So here hello world we are expecting. This is the one. Okay, so this is the method. This is a validation. So what we have done is on the particular button, we are performing the double click action, or we are triggering the double click event. And then we are validating the text which is having in the input field. That's the second text box. Okay. Now let us see how we can execute and validate. Okay, this is the approach 1 by using trigger method. We just double click on the element by calling trigger method, by passing the event name, and then we are verifying the text. Okay, let's execute and see. I'm executing only this particular block. Go to the file and save, and now see the execution. Yeah, perfect. Now we can see the same text is got copied in the second box. And just go back to the end. Same text is copied in the second box. And now if I just look at here, my assertion is also got passed. So expected to have hello world. Okay, let me just rerun it from here. Yes, now it is perform the double click action, and the same text is got copied in the second box. Now you can see here in the statement also, you can see this is a trigger event. It is done successfully. And we are finding the second element in the input box, and the same text we are expecting. It should be part of the second box. Okay. So this is how we can perform the double click action by triggering mouse event, that is DBL click. And we can also directly do this by calling double click method, DBL click. Okay, let me show you another approach. Approach 2, using DBL click method. So again, it is the same. So let me just copy the same statements. And here, what you will do is this on the same frame, we are finding the element, and instead of triggering this event, we will directly perform the double click. So I can say dot, can simply say DBL click. So this is the method. So this method will directly double click on this element, and then we are checking the same text is present in the second field number 2 or not, input box. Okay, now I can save the file and save and see the execution. Yeah, perfect. So now we can see the same text is got copied in the field 2. Now my assertion is also got passed. So this is another way of doing the double click action by triggering the event, which is a DBL click, or we can directly call this DBL click method on that element. On whichever element you want to perform double click, we can do it. And this is the validation. So whenever you want to validate some text which is displayed in the field, so we can simply say have dot value. Okay. So this is how we can perform the double click action. So now let us move on to the next one, drag and drop. So most of the times we do this, very important. So drag and drop. So to perform the drag and drop, we have one Cypress plugin is available. So by using that plugin, we can easily do this. But if you don't want to use plugin, again, we have to write a code by using trigger method. Okay. So let me show you how we can do this by using plugin. This will be very simple and straightforward. So before doing this, we need to install drag and drop plugin for Cypress. Okay, let me just show you that plugin. So drag and drop plugin for Cypress. And you can just look at this. This is a NPM package. So NPM package, so which we need to install actually. So this particular package which we have to install. I think this is a not right page. Let me just go to their official page. I think, yeah. This is the right plugin, but we need to get the proper document. Let me just go to it again once again. I think nothing is displayed. Okay, let me just go back, check another page. Okay, so we can use this one, Cypress drag and drop. Okay, this is the actual plugin, so which we have to use. So how we can set up this? You can simply execute this command in the command prompt npm by using node package manager, install -save -dev, and this is the plugin which we have to install. Okay, so let's try to install this. I'm copying this as it is. Actually, this is the plugin which we have to install. Okay, by using drag and drop plugin. So how to install it? Go to the terminal. And for now, I'm just exiting from the terminal. Just say Control Z. It is exited. Now here, I'm going to execute the command. Paste it over here. npm install -save -dev. And this is actually Cypress drag and drop plugin. So let's try to execute. And this will install the Cypress drag and drop plugin. So now it is successfully added. So once it is successfully added, now onwards, we can start using the Cypress plugin. And one more thing we have to do. So we have to specify, just like import, we are using this plugin. So for that, we need to specify something called require. We require that particular package. So we can say require. And what is the plugin name? This is our plugin name, right? So we can just copy this plugin name and then paste it over here. So this plugin we are going to use in our script. So we need to specify, right? So now let us try to use this plugin to perform the drag and drop. So now let's move on to the drag and drop. Okay. So the drag and drop using plugin. So to perform the drag and drop, I just want to execute only this one. So to perform the drag and drop, let me show you one application. Okay, now you can just go back. All right, so now we can just look at this, not this one. This is for right click. For drag and drop, we have a separate application. Okay. All right, so this is a application where we can do the drag and drop. So now I want to move some capital into particular country. Let's say I want to move this Rome into Italy, or I just want to move this Washington into United States, like this. So to move this, or this is basically drag and drop option. So we drag and drop. So only thing is we need to find the source element and target element. So which element you want to drag and where you want to drop. So these two we need to just find out, and you can directly use a method called drag. And that method comes from the Cypress plugin itself. Okay. So let us try to launch this page. Go back to VS Code editor. I say cy.visit and specify the URL. And after visiting this URL, and then what is the source element? So our source element is, let's say I want to move this Rome to Italy. So Rome is my source element. Now inspect this element. Okay, now go to selector hub, what it is giving. Okay, let me inspect one more time. So this is a Rome element, and there is ID available, which is directly there. So box 6 is my ID. So let's go back and use that ID. Okay, so cy dot get, and because you are using ID, we have to use hash. This is the locator, and this element we need to drag. Okay, so we need to call one method called drag. So this element box 6 we have to drag, and where you have to drop it, that we can specify in the drag method. So again, if I go back, and my target element is Italy, so I'm just capturing this element, and here the ID is box 106. Capture it, and you can just go back and specify box 6. That's it, one single statement. So here, whatever element we want to drag, just capture that element, drag into this particular target element. So that's it. So this will perform the drag and drop. So this is very simple by using plugin. If I don't want to use plugin, again, we have to write multiple statements to do that. So this is a simple way to do this. Once you install this plugin, this particular plugin, we can easily do this. So cy.get, get that element, dot drag, target element, source element, target element. That's it. Okay, let's try to execute this and see whether it is able to drag and drop or not. Okay, but again, I have already closed my Cypress app. Let me run this command once again. See, Cypress, npx Cypress open. So this command we need to execute one more time. Okay, now end-to-end testing, start. Mouse operations. So now it is running. Yeah, I think it is running double click action. So just a moment, let me change it. So we want to execute only drag and drop. Okay, let me first kill this terminal. Okay, so let's go back and terminal, new terminal, and px Cypress open. End-to-end testing, start testing. And now I want to execute mouse operations. Okay, it is still executing. Double click. Let me save. I think I have not saved my script. Go back. Visual Studio Code Editor. So I just want to execute only drag and drop. So double click. I have not specified anything. Okay. Okay, so let me save the file. Yeah, now it is started, drag and drop. Okay, so what is saying is it is timed out retrieving after 4000 millisecond expected to find element box 106, but never found it. It's basically saying the element is not able to find. Let's see why it is not able to find, because we are using ID. So we missed the hash here. Okay. Yes. So let's try to execute one more time. Save and go back and see. Okay, now this time it is giving an error. So what it is saying, draggable box is not visible because of its CSS property is hidden. So let me just try once again. Okay, so now let's try to execute one more time. If I just go back and save, and now you can see it is started execution. So you can just look at here, while performing the drag and drop, sometimes element will not be focused. You're getting something called Cypress error, something like this. It is saying timed out retrieving after 4000 milliseconds, trigger, but it is not able to get that element. So sometimes you may get these kind of errors. So what we can do is we can just forcefully do that. Okay, so to do it forcefully, we can add one option here. We can forcefully drag and drop. So we can say box is, this is a source element, this is a target element. And in the target element, you can pass one parameter in the curly braces. Here you can say force is true. So when you specify this option, even the element is hidden sometimes. So it will get the element forcefully and then perform the action. So this is how we can perform the drag and drop. So let me just execute one more time and also put some wait statement here. This is not required. But if you want to see the actual action, so you can just put this. Okay, let me execute one more time, save, then go back and see. Yeah, perfect. Now you can see here the same element is got dragged into Italy, right? So like this, we can perform the drag and drop by using this particular plugin, which is available, drag and drop plugin. So once you install this drag and drop plugin, we have to also specify this require the beginning, and then we can start using those methods. Okay, so this is how we can perform the drag and drop using plugin. Now finally we will see how we can scroll the page. So let me show you one more last operation, how we can scroll the page. I'm executing this one. So scrolling the page. And this is another important thing which we can do in Cypress. Suppose if I have a huge content in your web page, I can scroll down the page. So till I get some element on the web page, I can scroll down. And suppose I want to scroll down the page till end of the page, till the footer element, I can scroll down. Okay, let's see how we can scroll down by using this mouse operation. Okay, so this time I'm going to open this URL, and if I just look at this particular page is having so many flags. So if you want to see other flags, you need to just scroll down the page like this. Okay. Now I want to see how we can scroll down this page. Suppose I want to find some element. Let's say there are so many elements are here. I want to scroll down the page to see this particular element, or this particular element should be visible. So till that time, I can just scroll down. So how we can do this? Let me show you how we can scroll down the page. And go back, and first let us visit the web page, cy.visit. And here specify this command. This will visit the page, it will launch the page. Now we want to scroll the page. So to scroll the page, I want to find the element, which element I want to find. So first of all, let's try to execute this script. Just execute this page, and then we will find that element whichever we want. Save it and go back. Now my page is launched. Okay, now I want to scroll this page. I want to scroll this page like this till I found certain element. Okay, for example, I just want to find an India flag, which is here. Okay, so which is here. So for that, what I can do is let's try to take the inspector from here directly. This India flag I want to find. So take this inspector and just scroll down. Take this inspector and just scroll down the page and find that India flag wherever it is. Here it is. So I'm just finding the image. So now it is automatically generated cy.get with the CSS. Now copy this to clipboard and go back and then copy the statement as it is. So this is the element. I want to scroll down the page till I get this element. Now, once you specify this element here, simply you can say call one method called scroll into view. That's it. This is the only method which is having scroll into view. So this particular method will scroll down the page till that element is got displayed. Okay. So let us test this code. Now go to the file and save and go back and see here. Yes, it is successfully scrolled down the page till we got the element, but it is going very faster, right? So we can just control the time, like within 1 second, I want to get that element, or within 2 seconds, I want to scroll down. So you can also control the time. So for that, what you can do is in the scroll into view, you can pass one parameter. In the curly braces, you can pass one parameter called duration. In how many seconds you want to scroll the page, slowly or very faster. You can say 2000 milliseconds I mentioned. So now the scroll will be little bit slower, movement will be there. So let me execute once again. See here, 2 seconds it is taking to scroll and get that element. Okay, now how we can do the validation? As soon as the scroll is done, so now I want to check this element is visible or not. After scrolling, the same element is visible or not, I want to check. So copy the same element and then specify here dot should be dot visible. So this is a validation which we can do it. Okay, be dot visible. So like this, we can scroll the page just for seeing some element, or if you want to see some element, we can just scroll the page and you can look at this element. Okay, so for example, let's say I already scrolled down the page till this element. Okay, now I find out this element is visible or not. So this is basically what an India flag, right? So let me just put it here. This is India flag. So now I want to scroll up. So from this particular element, I want to again get another element on the same page. Okay, so another element from the same page. So currently we are here. Now if I just go up again, so I just want to go to Algeria. So this element I want to find. I want to scroll up. So then find this element, Algeria. And whichever element you want to identify, scroll, you can just go back and Algeria. So now this is a element. I'm copying this, go back and then copy. And again, one more time, scroll into view. Again, how much duration you want, you can just specify in the curly braces. You can say duration of property you can use. Duration is, I say 2000 milliseconds. All right, so like this, we can specify. Now it will again go back to the another element. Now again, I can check whether this is visible or not. So I can just get the same element and put the assertion should be dot visible. Okay, so like this, we can do this. All right, so now let us try to execute one more time. Go to file and save and see the execution part. Now it is scrolling down and it is again scrolling up. Let me re-execute one more time. It is scrolling down. Again, it is going back. So it should go to Algeria again. So now you can see Algeria is also available. So both have done. Right. So like this, we can do this. Suppose I want to scroll till end of the page. Let's say I want to go to the till footer section. Okay. So then what you can do is we need to find the footer section element. So if I just go to the page and if I inspect here and you can just find the footer element, you can just say Control F and search for footer. Now you can see the footer tag somewhere. You can see ID is equal to footer. This is basically a footer part. So copy this and go back and here get that footer element, cy.get, and this is your footer element. Sorry. So ID is equal to footer. Copy this ID hash footer. So here again scroll into view. This is the same method, scroll into view. So this will go to footer element. Let's try to execute one more time. Save. So first it will go to India flag and then go to Algeria and then it will come to the footer bar. Now you can see it is there in the footer section. Okay. All my assertions are also got passed. So this is how we can scroll down the page. This is also one of the popular mouse operations. Okay, so how many operations we have seen so far? Mouse over, we can do the mouse over, and then we can right click, and then we have seen double click, and then we have seen drag and drop, and then finally we can see scrolling page. And to perform the mouse over, so directly we can trigger the mouse over event by using trigger method, then we can do mouse over. And to perform the right click and double click, again we have a trigger events. So let's say context menu is for trigger event, which will perform the right click, or we can directly use right click method. Same thing for double click also, we can trigger the DBL click event, or we can directly do the double click, DBL click method we can use. And for drag and drop, we have to install drag and drop plugin, Cypress drag and drop plugin, so that we can access this method. Should be this one, drag and drop method. This method we will get from the plugin. So then we can specify the source element, target element, and then it will perform the drag and drop. Sometimes if it is not able to do that, we can do the forcefully by adding this parameter. And then scrolling page, we have direct method available, scroll into view. And here we can specify the how much time it will take to scroll into the page. We can define our own time. Okay. So these are all different type of mouse operations we can perform in the Cypress. In the next video, we will see some more options. So thanks for watching.